Sarvadharmasthapakatvam sarvadharmaswarupakaha acharyanam mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya te namaha. O establisher of all the faiths, embodiment of all the religions, the greatest teacher among all the teachers, O Sri Ramakrishna, my salutations to you. Namaste, pranam. Sri Ramakrishna teaching us that it is the God's will which prevails. God wills a person to get steeped into the worldliness. It is both worldliness, getting trapped in the worldliness, and getting onto the path of liberation. These are all the God's will. God puts a person into that state of ignorance. God puts that veil of Maya in front of a person and gets trapped in the worldly affairs, in the worldly life, in the worldly attachments. And again, it is the God's will which removes this veil, which removes the ignorance and puts the person on the path of spirituality, seeking for liberation. So it is entirely the God's will. And when that will come, when God will will the person to take up spirituality, is all God's will. Sri Ramakrishna has told us, he was talking to the devotees and the neighbors of Adhar who had gathered in the drawing room of Adhar, where Sri Ramakrishna and his intimate disciples were visiting after visiting the home of Balaram Bose. Now, Sri Ramakrishna has told that when the time comes for setting a person free, God makes him seek the company of holy men. A person all through his life, he might not have bothered to ask, can I find God? He might not have bothered to look for God. But when the right time comes, then suddenly this person starts seeking company of holy men. This person starts visiting the ashrams, visiting the holy places, and get into the company of holy men. This all God himself arranges. God himself plans for his devotee, the would-be devotee. Till now, he was a worldly person. He had no connection with spirituality. And suddenly, that passion for knowing God has ignited in his heart. Now he starts seeking the other like-minded people, the other mumukshus, the other seekers of liberation, and gets into the holy company. And then Sri Ramakrishna says that further it is God who makes him restless for spiritual life. And this curiosity of the next, this curiosity of what lies next, apart from this worldly life, what is there ahead for me, that curiosity makes the person absolutely restless. And then he starts seeking with great yearning. Now, that restlessness is created by the God's will. Now, a neighbor asks Sri Ramakrishna, what kind of restlessness, sir? You say that the person becomes restless. Now, what kind of restlessness? How is that restlessness exhibited in that person? After seeing a person, how to know that this person is now restless for the vision of the God? So Sri Ramakrishna answers, gives an example. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example of a person who has lost job. Now, how desperate these people who happen to lose their jobs, how desperate they become to get a new job. Now, in earlier days, there were no online kind of portals where people could submit their resumes and look for better opportunities. They had to visit in person all these offices. Sri Ramakrishna gives that example. He says, like the restlessness of a clerk who has lost his job. Now, typically in earlier days, during the era of the Britishers, mostly the jobs which were offered to Indians were of clerical type. Of course, there were other types of jobs also, but the clerical types of jobs were mostly people were sacked and people also inducted in that cadre. Other jobs like judges or magistrates or other government officials, they were quite stable. So a clerk's position was very dicey those days. At the whims and manners of the boss, the clerk would be fired at the whims and manners of the boss, a person would be hired. So that hiring and firing thing is going on since that time. So Sri Ramakrishna says, like the restlessness of a clerk who has lost his job. Now, what this person does who has lost his job, he makes the round of offices daily and asks whether there is any vacancy. He will carry his biodata, his resume with him, and he will keep on see the notice, the board of the office, some office is there. He will just enter, this is my biodata, this is what I am. Is there a suitable vacancy for me? Can you give me an appointment? So the person becomes so restless when he has lost his job because he has his family to feed, he has to take care of his household expenses, and he has to manage his living of his family. How can he go without earning anything? So that kind of restlessness, how day in and day out he visits n number of offices. In fact, this thing exactly had happened in Naren's life. Naren used to walk and walk and walk, visiting offices when he was in that very bad condition. He didn't have a good job and his family was in dire straits. He used to walk miles and miles and miles, visiting offices. Is there a job? A person of Naren's caliber could not find a job that time. Just imagine what kind of restlessness he must be getting into. So Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of most the same nature, that a clerk who has lost his job and making rounds of offices after offices after offices, seeking some kind of offer, some kind of job, some kind of opportunity to make his livelihood possible. So this is what happens when that restlessness comes. Then man longs for God. When that kind of restlessness for the Divine Mother comes in my heart, till the time I am enjoying my worldly matters, enjoying and also getting dejected in return. But that is an experience I consider myself in my worldly life. Till then, I never think of my mother. Till then, I never think of my God. But when I feel that restlessness, oh, where is my mother? How can I find my liberation? How can I get illumination? How can I find the true knowledge? When that restlessness ignites, then is the time that man starts following the path towards God. And then Sri Ramakrishna says that this is possible only for a person who is humble, who has reached that stage of I am an instrument and he is the doer. Then he gets into this feeling of restlessness. Let me find who is my master. Let me find who is my mother. And Sri Ramakrishna says, a person with the highly egotistic sense, egoistic attitude can never get this restlessness. A fop seated comfortably with one leg over the other. Now these are all the typical aristocratic tendencies that are displayed by people with highly inflated ego. One leg over the other, the man will sit reclining against a bolster. Sri Ramakrishna had taught us that how reclining against a bolster a person can get into the highly egoistic state. I am so and so. So a fop seated comfortably with one leg over the other, chewing betel-leaf and twirling his big moustaches. That sort of person, a carefree dandy, he cannot attain God, Sri Ramakrishna says. That path is not for such a person who is a foppish, who is highly egotistic, who thinks about I am so and so. With that kind of attitude, one can never attain God, Sri Ramakrishna says. For that, you have to become a humble child of the mother. Get rid of that I-ness. Get rid of that ego. Get rid of that feeling of I am so and so. Get rid of that feeling of I and become a simple, humble child of the mother. Be a simple devotee of your deity. Being a simple servant of the master. You get into that position, that humility, that humbleness, and then you can attain God, Sri Ramakrishna says. So this is the answer for what kind of restlessness the person should have. Person starts feeling for God. Then the neighbor again asks, can one get this longing for God through frequenting the company of holy men? Sri Ramakrishna said that God makes it possible for the child to seek the company of holy men when the right time comes. Then after God has removed the veil of ignorance, then the person starts seeking company of holy men. And now the neighbor's doubt is, can one get longing for God through the company of holy men? Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, it is extremely possible. It is very much possible. Because seeing other holy men so restless, so anxious, having such a great yearning to know the God, that yearning also develops in this person's amateur's heart. This person is an amateur right now at this stage on the path of spirituality. He is not a professional. So he learns from the other fellow holy men. But not for a confirmed scoundrel. Sri Ramakrishna said it is possible for a person with humility, not for a confirmed scoundrel. Now, what is a confirmed scoundrel? Confirmed scoundrel is the one, the fop that Sri Ramakrishna had described just a while back. That a person sitting with one leg on the other, twirling his moustaches, eating bitter leaves, and showing all the signs of highly inflated ego. That kind of confirmed scoundrel can never get this restlessness. Now then Sri Ramakrishna also gives an example for this confirmed scoundrel. They can never change unless and until they give up that egoistic tendency, unless and until they give up that high-headedness. They can never become restless for God. And for such confirmed scoundrels, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of the sannyāsi's kamandalu. Sannyāsi's kamandalu is made up of bitter gourd. Now, Sri Ramakrishna says, sannyasi, he goes all the holy places, all the Char Dham Yatra he does. But still, his kamandalu, which is made up of bitter gourd, it remains to taste bitter. It will never ever change. So, a sannyasi's kamandalu made of bitter gourd travels with him to the 4 great places of pilgrimage, but still does not lose its bitterness. So this person, this foppish person, this kind of a dandy that Sri Ramakrishna has described as, he can never change unless and until he gives up that egoistic attitude. He gives up that high-headedness, and he is a humble child of the mother. Only then this restlessness can develop into the person. So 2 things Sri Ramakrishna has taught us. That the God himself wills for his child to come to him. And then Sri Ramakrishna had given that example that like the mother calling her child when the child is playing outside with his friends. The child is engrossed in play. He is not worried. He is not bothered about, oh, it is lunchtime, I have to go. He is just enjoying his play with his friends. And suddenly when it is lunchtime, the mother starts calling, oh my Ram, oh my Hari, come, lunch is ready, now it is time for your lunch. And then this fellow wakes up, oh my God, I have been playing all the time with my friends, now it is time for my lunch. My mother is calling me for my lunch, and now it is the time for me to go home and enjoy the delicious lunch that my mother has prepared for me. Likewise, Sri Ramakrishna says, the God will give you a call. Come, my child, enough of that play. Now it is time to start chanting the name. It is the time to have your lunch. It is the time to sing the glories of the God. It is the time to seek the company of holy men. And then there is a total changeover in this person from that foppish mentality, from that dandy kind of attitude. Now he is a humble child of the mother. That restlessness has ignited. He is now seeking God. Where is my God? Where is my mother? And through the company of holy men, that yearning, that earnestness, that restlessness, it grows and grows and grows. So that is Sri Ramakrishna's teaching to us for the day at others' place, surrounded by a lot of devotees, lot of neighbors. And the time next is for the kirtan. Other has arranged a gathering of the kirtan cars also. And then all the devotees and Sri Ramakrishna, They enjoy the kirtan pertaining to Sri Krishna's life in Vrindavan. So that is the next part of this particular gospel. And then we will see what Sri Ramakrishna has to teach us next. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji.